Welcome to my video series on diabetes stigma. I am so glad to be discussing this topic with you over this series of videos, and I hope you'll talk with me in this series and let me know if you've experienced any of these forms of diabetes stigma. To introduce myself, I'm Mila Clarke, a diabetes advocate living with latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, a slow progressing form of type 1 diabetes. I've been living with diabetes for 7 years and spent 4 of those years with a diabetes misdiagnosis. Discussions about stigma are really important to me because the more we know, the less we can stigmatize others. So, what is diabetes stigma? Diabetes is a serious medical condition that affects millions of people around the world. And while there's been considerable progress made in recent years in terms of treatment and management, one of the biggest challenges faced with those with diabetes is stigma. Diabetes stigma can take many different forms, but essentially it refers to the negative attitudes and beliefs that exist toward those with the condition. This can result in discrimination, social isolation, and a general feeling of being devalued or feeling less than others. Diabetes stigma can have a profound impact on mental health and overall well-being, so it's important to understand what it is and how to deal with it. If you're living with diabetes or you know someone who is, keep listening to learn more about the issue. Diabetes stigma is a concept rooted in the idea that someone with diabetes is seen as less than a person without the condition. It refers to the discrimination and negative attitudes towards people with diabetes, either expressed overtly or through subtle acts of exclusion. Examples of diabetes stigma include labeling someone with diabetes as unable, overlooking their talents and abilities because of their condition, or even rumors and gossip about them simply because they have diabetes. Diabetes can lead to feelings of shame among those with the condition. Diabetes stigma can have a devastating impact on individuals with the condition. It can lead to isolation, depression, and a sense of shame or embarrassment about having diabetes. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about. Diabetes stigma may also have negative repercussions on someone's health, as it could cause them to avoid discussing their condition or seeking medical care due to fear of judgment. The pervasive attitude that people with diabetes are unhealthy has resulted in far-reaching consequences that go unrecognized. Even in healthcare settings, it's common for individuals with diabetes to be perceived differently than other patients. And research shows that stigmatization of individuals with diabetes can negatively impact blood glucose levels, quality of life, and stress levels. To ensure the well-being of those living with this condition, it's essential to educate not only healthcare providers, but society at large about the effects of stigma and the importance of compassion and understanding when supporting those facing the disease. So how do you combat diabetes stigma? The persistent nature of diabetes stigma has taken its toll on many people. The discrimination and the shame associated with having this condition can be damaging to self-esteem and mental health. Fortunately, there are ways that we can combat the damaging effects of diabetes stigma. Education about how diabetes is a serious medical condition that requires proper care can help promote empathy and understanding from those who don't have diabetes or fully understand it. As individuals, we can set an example for our friends and family by being open and honest about our experiences with diabetes, as well as how it affects our daily lives. We can also support organizations and initiatives that are committed to combating negative stigmas around this condition, like schools putting on workshops and seminars, addressing diabetes stigma in young adults, and also speaking up when diabetes stigma happens. All of these actionable steps go a long way in lessening feelings of unfairness, judgment, or isolation based on living with diabetes. Diabetes stigma itself is harsh and pervasive, and it's a reality that needs to be addressed directly. We have to work together to build an environment of understanding and acceptance so that people living with diabetes have the opportunity to access the resources they need to thrive without significant judgment. It's also important for employers, insurance providers, healthcare practitioners, friends, and family members to recognize how damaging it can be when people unfairly associate negative outcomes or judgments with a person's diabetes diagnosis. By standing together against ignorance and judgment associated with this chronic illness, we can create meaningful change toward equitable access to care for those living with diabetes and create better health outcomes for all. I have a few more episodes in this series about different ways that stigma and shame manifest themselves, especially when it comes to communities of color. So I hope that you will stick around and that you'll keep watching these videos. They're in a playlist throughout this series, and have the conversation with me. We really need to talk about diabetes shame and diabetes stigma, and we need to show that people with diabetes are deserving of dignity and respect. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye.